got that limitless flow. Limitless flow. The whole world is about to know. Yeah, let 'em know. Authentic stories, let it burn.
From corporate boardrooms, the football pitch. That's a massive move. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to episode 2 of Infinity Unscripted, where the conversations are limitless and unscripted. I'm your host, Anesu. I'm privileged and honored to be joined by a business consultant, a sports administrator, and a sponsor for the Wange Unity Cup. Please help me warmly welcome Mr. Martin Mhlanga.
Thank you,
Mr.
Anesu.
Mhlanga,
I take great pride in being part of your work as well. Yes.
thank you. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Mr. Mhlanga, today we would like to dive into your world. I see you do business consultancy and sports administration. Please take us through, how do you manage the two?
Okay. Both sides of my world are driven out of passion.
All
I
right.
have passion for the business world.
All right.
I'm also a seasoned facilitator.
All right.
I cover topics such as change management, leadership, corporate governance. And then also on the sports side, I was born into a sport family. My dad played
Oh, wow.
for Dynamos Highlanders, but
Wow.
that was like decades ago, I think 60s, 70s, somewhere there. So growing around that environment also and seeing how football changed his life, when he saw that his career had reached peak, he quickly decided to focus on a salesmanship type of role. And that's how we were brought up, an ex-footballer who became a businessman. And we decided to take up the business side as we became adults. But then again, I think it's because that sport thing always existed. So whenever I got to a town
Mhm.
or any community, I always found myself gravitating towards sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a quick one there. There's a two intense world. They are totally different. Though the skills you are applying, they are coming from being a business consultancy and now administrating sports. When you actually moved, which one came first? I think that's
Okay.
that's
So I'd say sport. I didn't play it at a competitive level,
okay.
but I did take part in some tournaments where I played against competitive people.
All right.
So obviously, I think I'd say sport came up first. And then when it came to career options, I think from the age of 16, I dropped out of the school rugby team so that I could focus more on studies. There's some people obviously at that time could balance the two, excel in both. But for me, I felt that I needed to focus more on the academic, and that did pay off. And when I finally was able to manage myself and have extra coins, I then diverted those onto these community projects, like the one that I'm currently doing, the Wange West Unity Cup.
Oh, that's good. That's good news. And were you which number or position were you playing in football?
Being a left footer, I was happy left back, left link, or attacking midfield. It was quite good. I do have some deft touches
Oh,
now in the game.
that's good. That's
Dangerous gunman.
That's good. And now having to manage the two, how did you? I would like to believe the first time you had to bring the other, that's sports administration. Did you face some burnouts, and how did you manage those burnouts?
I'll be honest. Thank you. That's a brilliant question, Anesu. Burnouts are inevitable. And especially when you're also a father, a business leader, a community leader. If you don't balance your time well, one sphere of your life will suffer greatly. So the whole thing is understanding what am I giving priority to today, because these things overlap. Because when you are in the corporate world, a call can come through to say, hey, the pitch that we had booked for Saturday has been booked by someone else. But meanwhile, your state of mind, you're kindly focusing on your stocks, or maybe when you're on the football pitch, a call arrives to say there's going to be delay in your stocks. And, being in the energy sector, you've got prepaid clients and stuff like that. But the whole thing is to attempt to strike a balance and not be too much of one. And also at this point, you have to put the corporate first because that's where your bread and butter comes from. And you sort of have to make the sports play a second fiddle because obviously this is stuff that you're doing out of the kindness of your heart. There isn't really much return on that. So I'd say the balance is maybe you could come up with the ratio of 60-40 or even 70-30 at times,
But there's one you left out there. Remember, you just mentioned about being a family man as well. So that's the third one. And the ratio feels like something is missing there.
Okay.
Now, when you get home.
So I'd set up something like this. I'd have these two, maybe,
Okay.
and then I'll draw family around. Because I cannot say now I'm packing the family aspect. And folks, it's in me every day. You have, when you get home, even if you're tired, daughter will say, Dad, I need a bedtime story. Dad, you need to help me read. Or Dad, there's a maths problem here. So it's something that has to be in.
And the missus is saying, I want to go on a dinner date.
You know what time it is.
So,
you know what time it is.
All right. So actually, when we were posting about episode 2, there's a young man who actually came through. We had to do a grapevine issue here with our episode 2.
Yeah.
And this young man has a question. His question is, he's just from university. And you know how sometimes our economy is. You might not just get a job immediately just after finishing your degree or your diploma. And then you are there at home. Not just sitting at home. What would you give as an advice to this young man? Maybe they have a degree in banking and finance. Maybe they have a degree in chemical engineering of some sort.
Man, hey, that takes me back. I was once in that space as well. One time I sold phones. I mixed concrete to build. I was once a painter. I did what I had to do to survive, I don't really have a set formula that I can say, hey, young man, listening to me, this is how I want you to do it. But what I can say is that find that one thing that you do right and give it your best. Maybe I can also tell you about a cartoon that showed in the British tabloid. I think it was 1895.
All right.
The tabloid was called Judy and the artist was called Wilkinson. It showed a young curate who had just been invited for breakfast by his elderly bishop in the church. And as he was having breakfast, the young man had been served with a badly boiled egg. And so he was struggling to take off the shell. And the bishop, recognizing that the young man was struggling, leaned over the table and said, young man, is everything all right there? And the young curate, not wanting to disappoint his bishop, leaned back and said, oh, sir, parts of it are excellent. So we live in a time when we do have business ideas, but we excel in some parts of those business ideas. The business in its entirety is not totally excellent. It's like a badly boiled egg. So for you to come up as a cutthroat business person, you've got to find that one thing that you're good at and you give it 100%. If it's got to be a well-boiled egg, it has to be 100% boiled. Not to say, Anesu, I'm not going to quit on my web, but the challenge, he can't meet up on timelines, or Anesu can do this. The moment there is that but immediately, it's something that's going to make your competitors eat you alive. So if you're serving a course to your consumers, excellence has to be that appeal. I mean, consumer ratings have proven that people don't mind paying large amounts of money for something that they deem worthy. So sometimes the reason why people then use price penetration strategies is that their product offering really doesn't have much to say. So they have to try and adopt a price strategy. But there's brands that know what they're worth and people will pay that amount. So to the young man sitting there and asking, what can I do? I'll ask that person back and say, what is that one thing that you can effortlessly do and excel in? That's where your money is. Find that one thing and make sure you invest all your time, and effort into it, such that when we put it on the table, the only time we're looking for a but is, but when else can you supply?
Yes,
Yes,
because now you're providing the service and meeting the timelines.
Yes.
Down a
And being
vision,
there always
wrote
when you
my
need
own
it.
scripture, making my own path and mission. Now we got that limitless flow. Limitless flow.
Action.
The whole world is about to know. Yeah, let 'em
All right, so Mr. Mhlanga, I've got, whilst we are on that business area, I've got a lesson that's banging and that has been banging inside me. This person, I hope I put it through the right way. Do you grow into leadership, or you are placed into leadership?
All right, so leadership has been a study for over the past century. Are leaders born or are leaders made?
Yeah.
There are several leadership theories that we've studied. There was also what you call the trait theory. Once upon a time, people believed that a leader had to be tall, had to be masculine. I mean, if you read the Bible, when it describes Israel's first king Saul, it says he stood head and shoulder above the rest. So he also had to have an imposing structure to be a leader. You move on later, they'll tell you that a leader is a physical stature, a leader's family status, were things that contributed to one becoming a leader. But now, because of the studies and investments that have been made into research, we discover that anyone can become a leader. Leaders can be made. If you attend leadership seminars, you understand the difference between a leader and a manager. A manager maintains a given status. A leader is someone who disrupts and is very resourceful. A leader is someone who seeks to be forward thinking and not just accept a given mindset, you know. So I can tell you that leaders are made. Every one of you listening right now have got the capacity to be the next CEO. You've got the capacity to be the next director of a blue chip company. It's all ready within you, but there are some theories you've got to get out of your head. There's some investment you also need to make into understanding the architecture behind a functional leadership type. So now we no longer rely on the leadership traits that existed half a century ago, where they had to look at your jawline, your nose type, your eyes, your complexion. You know. But now we are saying that, does he know how to show empathy when it calls for?
Okay.
Does he come in and sit down with the team and say, hey guys, what do we do? What style of leadership does he show? Is he an autocrat? Is he a democrat? Is he a laissez-faire type of leader? Does he have one style of leadership to say everything is a nail that must be hammered? Is he a screwdriver? He screws everything. So leadership is not about understanding the hammer only. You have to be versatile. There's times for a hammer. You don't throw out the hammer on your leader to say, I want to no, there's times. So it's about being able to understand, you need that wisdom.
Okay.
What in management we look at as situational leadership.
All right.
No two scenarios can be treated the same, because also remember, you're dealing with a group of people who've got different levels of maturity.
Yes.
There's your level of maturity 1, who is not sure about you and they're not sure about themselves. You've got your maturity level 2, who is sure about you but not sure about themselves. You've got your mature level 3, who is sure about themselves, not sure about you. And you've got your mature level 4, who is sure about you and sure about themselves. So when you're a leader, you need to know, okay, this guy that I'm dealing with, if it's level 1, it means I cannot delegate him to do something because he's definitely unsure. So that style of leadership, you then use what you call maybe an autocratic, direct, you tell them this is what you need done. But a guy on level 4, you know he's sure about himself and understands the system. That's when you use a participatory, delegatory approach to say, excuse me, do you mind taking care of this project? Because you understand. So leadership is a science. And why I'm saying it is because science can be studied.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not something that you're born a scientist. No. So you study yourself into being a scientist. You also invest in yourself into being a great leader. Leaders, guys, are readers. If you go into my my book collection, the ebooks, I've got over 100 books. Most recently, I was reading The 50th Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent, which I found amazing. Currently, I'm also on the Strategies of War, the 30 Strategies of War by Robert Greene again. So with every book that I read, my mind,
starts to open up.
It starts to open up. And the challenge that you can have, or the worst case scenario that you can have as a human being, is to hit the ceiling and say, I know it. As long as you're alive and breathing, Kaizen, continuous learning, continue to learn, continue to, to grow, continue to use AI.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. So another follow-up question before we wrap up that section. What should leaders actually do? Should they also have the heart to train new leaders? Because in most companies, you get to have a manager who's there, but I know that every time. They don't show that love and heart to train tomorrow's leaders. What do you think about those leaders, and what should we be doing about such environments?
I remember, we had an entire seminar on the difference between a manager and a leader. And you used the perfect example. I know it as a manager. That's a manager. If right now I listen to this and you do that to others, you are not a leader, you are
a manager.
Right? Leaders don't do that.
Okay.
The strength of a leader, or the greatest achievement of a leader, is how many people he has inspired to be like him.
Right.
Remember, leadership is inspiration.
Yes.
Leadership is influence. Leadership is making you believe that you can do this, you can achieve it. Leadership inspires people to greatness. Managers, look, they also do serve a purpose within certain systems, but what we should strive to get to is to get to the level of being these leaders that promote the well-being of others, these leaders who are empathetic, and also these leaders who raise millions of other leaders like them. Because you cannot say you're a business leader if the moment you step out of the office or your phone is off, you're playing golf, the business comes to a halt. No. This also sets us up maybe for a discussion some other day when we talk of succession planning.
Okay.
Leaders, you also have got to know that one day or another you will step down. Either you're preparing your son, daughter, your wife, or one of your best performing employees. That shouldn't come as a shock. You, at your peak, you should be able to know, okay, if the Lord decides that tonight, this is it, what's the next step? All those things should be outlined. This is why you find that most of the successful corporates that have run throughout generations in the Western world is because they had a clear succession planning. So I think I've said too much, but I was just trying to give you the scope.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so another point of taking from that is to the youngsters, and wherever you are working there, aspire to be a leader, not a manager. So being a manager is just the position you have, but what you really need to be in life is being a leader, which also translate. I remember Vusi Chembakwayo once said that you cannot be an entrepreneur. Like you said, you're playing golf and the business has already stopped. You need business to be continuing. So entrepreneurship and being a leader go hand in hand.
And also remember, if this is a football team, who are you going to put in defense? Who are you going to put in defense? The leader or the manager?
The leader.
No.
The manager.
Yes, manager defends.
Oh.
Yeah, but manager does not score. So managers are like defenders. They will defend the company's status quo. These are our values. This is what we stand for. But that on its own does not guarantee an organization's survival.
Okay.
Organizations have become obsolete overnight because of defending. You need good strikers. The leaders will then look and say, what is the developing trend now? What's happening now? They go out and score. They go out and strike. So I think a complete business needs very competent managers who pass on the ball to leaders, or managers who graduate and become leaders. Because management is not an evil per se. If done correctly, it actually does safeguard, the existence of an organization. But you need the conceptual part where you've got a leader in the organization who will take it to the next great level.
All right. Wow. So, Mr. Mhlanga, drugs keep you away from sports, and sport keeps you away from drugs. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Mhlanga, for joining us on this wonderful show. It was a pleasure having you on our show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to spoil the food for you. You had the advice. You've been watching Infinity Unscripted. Remember to keep your network strong and your mindset limitless. Catch you on the next episode. Ciao.